So I have an article by the Truth Seeker, and the title of this says that in Germany, 9 underage girls were sexually assaulted by Syrian migrants. This happened in Gelhassen, Germany, in a public swimming pool, and the mayor of this town blamed hot weather, saying that the heat entices these young men to violate the rights of other people. And the article goes on and explains that, a lot of public swimming pools have been closed throughout the country because of sexual assaults and because of brawls that would break out. Now, we all know who's doing this. This is North African, Middle Eastern migrants that came in mass in the mid 2000 teens and are still coming into this country. They came in, they claimed to be refugees, but they didn't stop in Turkey. They didn't stop in Italy, or at least a lot of them didn't. They didn't stop in Greece or in Serbia or Croatia. They went to Germany, they went to France, they went to Sweden, where the generous welfare programs are, because that's where the freebies are, right? So they went to their country of choice. Well, by definition, that's not a refugee. That's an economic migrant or an invader at that point. But so anyway, there's a few things to really take apart here. The mayor blamed hot weather like it's an insult to our intelligence. The hot weather causes people to do this. Of course it doesn't. I live in Florida. It's a much hotter climate than it is in Germany. And people don't go around doing that. And if you did, you get a fist to your face if you did something like that here. In Germany, you're not allowed to defend yourself. You don't have free speech. People get arrested for talking about this stuff in Germany. So obviously, it's an insult to everyone's intelligence. But see, that's the philosophy that drives Western Europe and the major cities here in the United States and countries like Canada and etc. It's this egalitarian, nihilistic theology of, this religion that you're supposed to believe in. In the case of Germany, it's the white guilt that, these evil white people, and they were, the Nazis, I'm not defending, they were evil. But I mean, it's not the people alive. You and I didn't do that. Okay. I have no reason to feel guilty about what happened in the past because I didn't do that. You can only judge people based on their individual level. You can't judge a person for what somebody else did. So, this theology, in this case in Germany, white guilt, or in other places, and some type of socialist egalitarian guilt of successful people having to cater to less successful people when clearly it's their fault. Or in this case in Germany, blaming the heat, because see, you're not allowed to believe your lying eyes, okay? So we're supposed to uphold this ideal of white guilt, but that's not what's happening here. This is a failure to enforce the law. This is a failure to protect people. The laws are there as a protection against people, but in the case of Germany, the laws that are being enforced are there to protect the state, okay, and apparently are there to protect the migrants. The law was failed to be enforced in terms of bringing these people in to begin with, the mass migration. The migration laws were not enforced. These people should have been deported a long time ago. That didn't happen. And even when these people are here, when they commit a crime, they're supposed to be punished. That punishment is supposed to be a deterrent. Well, apparently there's not enough punishment because they're not being deterred. They're continuing to do things like this because it's a failure. It's not the hot weather. It's a failure of the German government to protect the German people. Okay, so these public swimming pools, my understanding is that this is something that Germans have done for generations. I mean, they have their, historically it's a safe country. People can go out and do things, like go to a swimming pool, there's a lot of other people there, but, they can't do that anymore. They can't do that anymore. Germans can't go anywhere anymore because the government doesn't enforce the law to protect them. They'll enforce the law to protect the status quo, to protect the state. So if you voice your opinion about this in Germany, like, I would get arrested for that, apparently. Luckily, I'm here in the United States and I can talk about this, and hopefully there's somebody in Germany that speaks English that can listen to me. But, you know, at the very core of this, from an epistemologically, that's a big word. It's the philosophy of how man knows anything. It's how man gains knowledge. It's upholding a concept instead of looking at what you have in front of you. See, when you do your thinking, you're supposed to take what you have right in front of you. You do your observations, then you build your concepts on top of that. So we have the observations of these migrants committing the crimes. So we know that these people are coming from a culture and that require a harsher, like some kind of harsher punishment to deal with them or deport them. That's a logical conclusion. So there's the ethics part of that, right? That's the ethical thing to do, is to protect people. Well, again, that's not being done. And then the political part of it, which I've already talked about. You know, the laws should be, ideally, the laws are there to protect people, not to protect the government, not to protect the insular elite that are screwing the German people. So I'm going to put a link to this, you know, but there it is. And that's good reason to be angry. I mean, I'm not in Germany, and I'm floored even watching this. It's hard to even watch from the United States if this is happening. But you got to see what's in front of you. And it doesn't matter, you know, what the cost. If they can convince you, kind of like in the book 1984, like 2 + 2 = 5. You know, if they can convince you of that, you're lost. They could, by extension, they've destroyed your mind. They've destroyed your capacity to operate as a human being ought to operate. So don't let them do this. You know, you could spread links around, I think, in Germany, but whatever you can do, do it. You know, whatever ways you can get around, you got to find a way to alert the German people, and you got to get the German people, you know, angry enough ahead of the next election. You got to vote for AfD or candidates that are willing to change this mess.